What's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. Yes, the Chord Progression Podcast. Brought to you by My Song Day Rock 2000 today. Yes, this episode's coming out on Tuesday, December 10th, but just because I got a lot of stuff to do for the project as well, I'm shooting this episode on December 8th during the Minnesota Viking game, because I got the Viking game on my other computer, like right at my desk right over here. Hence why I got my Vikings jersey on, because, well, I haven't worn this thing in a long time. This thing I've had here, this is, God, I got this 2007? Somehow still fits. But enough about that. Before I get into the whole entire stuff with the Chord Progression Podcast, I've got to go into our shameless plugs. Now, the shameless plug section would be the section where, had I have advertising for anything on the podcast at the moment, this is where it would go. But at the moment, still nothing. But as we approach the end of the year, we'll see what happens in 2020. But before that, shameless plugs, we're going to fill that with: follow the My Song a Day Rock 2000 Day project on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen to the podcast here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. The videos for the podcast will be on YouTube as well, along with, enabling our Amazon Alexa skill. Because we do many great things here with My Song Day Rock 2000 Day, where we do things like on Facebook, just tell you what's going on. Twitter, we talk, guys. Instagram, we do so much, such as you can see with the Song of the Day selection, the 30-second preview from it. You can answer our questions. You can watch our behind-the-scenes IGTV videos. First down, Vikings, yes. But we also do our live streams every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. And when it comes to those live streams, basically what you can do with those is just come for an hour and you can have one hell of a chat with us. Subscribe on YouTube, because we have YouTube videos that come out every single Wednesday regarding a bunch of things, along with our upcoming year-end award videos, which we will dive right into after the shameless plugs. And you can also watch the podcast live, or not live, but you can watch it happen as well. Ooh, I got my phone go buzz. But you can watch it, because when we did the interview with Jonathan Norris of Kingdom Collapse, I started doing it on video as well. I thought, you know what? This is a lot better than just having the audio on there. So let's go and do it. We've got a special one coming up for you guys with the podcast on Monday, December 23rd, right before Christmas. So be sure to check out with that. But the Song of the Day feature, we got it coming all over the place. You can find it everywhere. But if you want to listen to the whole song all the way through for the whole entire day, that's on our Amazon Alexa skill. Alrighty, enough with the shameless plugs. The first thing I want to talk about today is the My Song Day Rock 2000 to Today Year-End Awards. So we did this last year, and I'm going to do it again this year, but do it a little bit differently. I know I've spoken about it, where when it comes to our year-end awards, last year I put it all in one video and I had 6 categories to pick from. This year, doing it differently, we're going to have videos come out on 6 consecutive days detailing each award. So why am I talking about it now? Because on Saturday, December 7th, in the afternoon and the evening, at one at a time on Instagram and Twitter, we released our picks for each and every one. And we released them in the way of, all right, what's coming out at what time? And we're going to start with those first. So what we're going to do a little bit differently is the video is going to be all my pick pretty much, where it's like I'm going to end up I give you my nominees, and they're going to be in the top 10 or the top 5. Then what's going to end up happening is, after it's all said and done, I'm going to go through 10 through 2 or 5 through 2, but then I'm also going to have the fan vote. So if you find it, the post on Instagram or Twitter, just comment what you think is the winner. It can be any one of them. It can be the ones that I chose. It can be the ones that you think it is, whatever it is. So we're going to have a compiled fan vote, because I want to see what you guys think as well. But before anything gets into that kind of fun stuff, don't you guys want to know what the nominees are? So let's go right into it, because, if you guys didn't check it out, I can give you a little bit more context. So the first one we went with was the most surprising album of the year. Now, most surprising album of the year for us is one where, say, we weren't expecting this one to come out, or it just dropped out of nowhere. Or it was something where we had no idea this even existed, and we thought, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. We have to put this one on here. We have to let the people know about it. Or something where a band that had been around for a long time maybe was not around for a while, and all of a sudden came back out of nowhere. You're like, oh my lord, let's go with this. I love this. So for this one, I picked 5. I picked 5 albums. I actually would include EPs in here as well. And the reason behind that one is just because, well, again, it's all new music. So I'm going to start out with the most surprising, and I'm going to go talk through the nominees. My first one for the nominee was The Dead Days by Get Scared. Now, this album was one that dropped in April, and the reason why it's on most surprising is because this one dropped without really any fanfare. We were told about it like 2 days before it came out, and I think the band talked about how it was going to come out a week before it actually came out. And this ends up being Get Scared's final album up to this point, because they have said on the September 15th that this Get Scared was going to be no more, and that the Dead Days was going to be their final outing. Now, taking a look at the Dead Days, I did do a full review on it, and I really liked it because I love the way they end up taking a lot of different genres and making them into their own sound. So you kind of mix some metalcore in there, some post-hardcore, some pop punk, some just hard rock. They mix a lot of that together, and I really thought they did a great job with it, so that's why I put it on there. Another one I have on there, number 2, is the Oh the Horror EP by GFM, Gold, Frankincense, and Myrrh. Now, this is the one that I was talking about, whereas I had no idea this band even existed up until 2019. And the reason I didn't know they existed was because, well, they're not, on the same level as all these other bands are on here in terms of popularity. But when we got in contact with them for Small Band Saturday, and we had them on the podcast, I listened to that whole entire EP, and I was just blown away by how good of a musicianship that EP had, and how fantastic everything was constructed, and the sound that these 3 sisters had. I absolutely loved it, so I thought, you know what? We got to put this one on here, because when it comes to most surprising, this really epitomizes it. Number 3 on most surprising album of the year, I put How It Feels to Be Lost by Sleeping with Sirens on there. So why was How It Feels to Be Lost by Sleeping with Sirens on there? Because, yes, they did come out with their last album previously in 2017 with Gossip, but How It Feels to Be Lost was something completely different than Gossip. And Gossip was something where it was more written with producers and other writers for the songs, and it really wasn't written the same style that the band had done. Now the band went back to their old style of writing, where it was all the guys in a room together, Kellen Quinn, the rest of the band, and they just hashed it out. And when Leave It All Behind came out in June of 2019, I've said this in another video, or it's going to be coming out, but it was like the sequel to If You Can't Hang. The music video is very similar. It was like they're calling out, we're back, and we're coming back with that sound that you guys like. Listen to the rest of the album, and it is back to that Sleeping with Siren sound, back on Let's Hear to This, and with Ears to See and Eyes to Hear. So when it comes to surprising, do they fit on this one? Absolutely. Number 4 on most surprising album nominees, again, these are not ranked in any way just yet. The rankings will come out for this one on Christmas Day, is Shaped by Fire by As I Lay Dying. And we all know, with Tim Lambesis coming out, having the 6-year arrest for the murder to hire for his estranged wife, and the band breaking up at that point, they came back, did some live shows in 2018, which really got people intrigued by the band, that they're coming back, and all of a sudden, boom, here they come with Shaped by Fire, and they just go straight on metalcore with the whole entire thing. I still remember the first time I listened to it too. It was super early in the morning. It was like 5:15 in the morning, and I was going to be biking for an hour at the gym, and I'm like, you know what? I got to get a feel for this album, so let's put it on. And I really, really enjoyed what they did here. Just sticking with that metalcore sound. And why it's surprising, because this is coming back after that 6-year hiatus and coming back just as strong. So I think they fit on that list. And the last one I have on the list is Tool's Fear Inoculum. And of course, the reason why this one's on here is because fans have been waiting for 13 years for Fear Inoculum. It was a long wait. We never knew if we were actually going to get it or not. And the fact that we did get it and it was good, yeah, it definitely gets a spot on the most surprising list. Alrighty, going over to the next one, which will be out on December 26th with the rankings. This is most disappointing album. So these are the albums that we knew about, that we had high expectations going in, or we expected something, and they came in well under that mark. Again, these are the nominees right now, on my opinion, and this is just the way I rank. This is not any way that I rank them just yet. The rankings will come out for these December 26th. First one I have is an album from really early in the year, and that's Who Do You Trust by Papa Roach. The reason why I have that on the disappointing one is because I know what Papa Roach was capable of. They have that old sound from anywhere up from, like when you hear Last Resort, Between Angels and Insects, Scars, Getting Away with Murder, Hollywood Horror. So they had a certain sound. All of a sudden, 2015, when they came out with Face Everything Rise or Fear, that album, they kind of changed their sound up a little bit, but they went in a direction that was absolutely amazing when you heard songs like Falling Apart or Gravity featuring Maria Brink. They went with Crooked Teeth in 2017, and I did like that. I didn't like it as much as Fear, but I did like it. But the one thing I was concerned about was they were bringing a lot of outside features from pop artists, and they kind of got a little bit of a popular tendency with that one, especially with the song Born to Greatness. I'm like, oh, I hope they go back to what they were doing on Fear, and now what they're going to be doing, like kind of did on Crooked Teeth with this Who Do You Trust, kind of going more pop-centric. And they did mix a lot of that in Who Do You Trust, and it just really fell flat for me, all based upon that. Don't get me wrong, I really do like Renegade music off this album. I really think it's a great opener for the band, but the rest of it just really, really stunk for me. So it disappointed me pretty heavily. Rewind, Replay, Rebound by Volbeat is also on this list for me because I know what Volbeat sound is capable of, and I've heard them do some very interesting things with the sound. Even on this album with songs like Leviathan, Last Stand of the Sun, and one of my favorites on the album that I really like to just drink to is Cheapside Sloggers. However, the rest of the album just does not compare. I thought it was rather bland throughout it, so why I thought this one was on the disappointing trend is because the singles set it up for something and it fell way under the mark. And that's the same thing for my fourth nominee, which is Pressure by Wage War. Again, I'm not saying Pressure by Wage War is a bad album. It was when I heard the singles, when they came out the four singles, especially Me Against Myself, I was blown away by it. I thought this could easily be an Album of the Year contender. The rest of the album I thought was a rather huge letdown. Again, not a bad album, but just compared to what we were getting previously before the full release, man, I really just thought this is another epitome of disappointment in one sense of the word. The last one I have on here is We Are Not Your Kind by Slipknot. After 5 years, Slipknot came out with We Are Not Your Kind, and a couple of reasons why I have it on here. One is that they did not include All Out Life on here, which All Out Life probably would have changed this up a bit. I thought a lot of the songs were rather rushed hastily a little bit. Don't get me wrong, there's still some good songs on there. I mean, songs like Unsainted I do like, in Nero Forte. Oh man, I got some good songs in there, but overall, when I listened to it, it just wasn't anything special for me. So I had to put it on the most disappointing album of the year list, and that's where I stick with that. On December 27th, I will have my worst song list come out. That is on December 27th. I got 5 songs I put for worst song of the year, and I'll go through them right now. First nominee is Nihilist Blues by Bring Me the Horizon. Now, you guys have heard me bitch and moan about Bring Me the Horizon and Amo throughout most of this year. And they do have one of what I think is the worst songs on there because it just did not sound like anything that they actually wrote. It sounded like it was something that a lot of producers wrote and they just wanted Bring Me the Horizon to play it. And it was a lot more dubsteppy and techno-y, and I just thought, this is not good. So I just really wasn't that into it. Number 2, I've got Will We Ever Learn by Wage War. That's another nominee, not number 2 on the list, but that's another nominee. And the reason I have that on the list as well is just because this was the epitome song of when I listened to Pressure by Wage War, where the singles and the rest of the album were so much different in terms of quality. This was easily the bottom rung in my opinion, so I definitely put it on there. The Vengeance by Black Veil Brides I put on here as well, and the reason why I put that one on there is because I had a conversation with it on someone on Instagram where they really liked the song, and my opinion was the reason why I put it on the list was because I know what they are capable of, especially with hearing Saints of the Blood right beforehand. The Vengeance sounded like they played it incredibly safe to the point where Andy Biersack didn't have much variation in his voice, I thought. The instrumentation just seemed kind of substandard. It just seemed like a very filler song that I just really wasn't feeling. So that's why I have that on there. I've got A Liar's Funeral by Slipknot here because, again, I thought this one was very hastily delivered, hastily put together, and very rough, and it was all about that whole entire Chris Fenn saga. So when you put something that rough together and it just really doesn't work, and my computer just crashed. My other one, though. What the heck happened? Okay, now I'm pulling this one up for a little bit so I can actually fix that a little bit. Well, maybe just the big screen went down. But back to A Liar's Funeral, I just thought it was hastily delivered, and it just really felt like, it was a little bit more of a vengeance and a revenge thing than actually writing a good song. Last I have on here is Apocalypse by Lacuna Coil. I thought it was just not the best effort from them. And again, not the biggest fan of that kind of a genre. But I put it on there regardless because I just didn't think it was all that great. But that's what I have for December 27th. Before I go to the next one, if you see these on our Instagram page or our Twitter page, and they'll have come out on December 7th, if you see them and you want to tell us what you think about it, which I love seeing, whether you think I was absolutely right or if I'm absolutely wrong, what I need you guys to do is I need you to put your winners, either of the ones I chose or of your own, in the comment section so you can be a part of the fan vote. So that's what we're going to do for that one. And next I have number 4, which is coming out on Saturday, December 28th, and that is my best song of the year list. Now, the best song of the year list, of course, are going to be the songs I thought, oh my God, this is what we wanted, this is what we needed. So I've got 10 for these. Yep, 10 for these. Oh, Kevin's got 10. Yep, I've got 10 for these, and then I got another 10 for best albums, and I got 5 for worst albums. But we're going to focus on the next one, which is best song of the year. I got 10, and here are my 10 nominees. First nominee I have on here is Me Against Myself by Wage War. This is one I thought was the absolute best single off of the album. I had a couple people ask me, why don't you pick a couple of the other singles that they thought were great? And the reason I picked Me Against Myself was because I've gone through stuff like that where it's basically the biggest enemy of myself was me. And it hurt. Like, really, really hurt. So when I listened to that song, just the way it was constructed, it really made you feel that way. And just the subtle use of unclean vocals right before the final chorus was one amazing move because it kept it a little less, not a little less chunky, but it kept it a little more different. It kept it fresh. It kept you on your toes a little bit towards the end. So I absolutely thought it was totally worth it, 100%. And Me Against Myself by Wage War is one in my top 10. Motionless in White's Thoughts and Prayers in my top 10 as well. I like Disguise as a song as well. I didn't like Code at first, but I really like Code now. Another Life is also very interesting, but Thoughts and Prayers is the one I went with because this one was unrelentingly hard. This went back to that kind of style that Motionless in White had back on their first 2 albums with Infamous and of course Creatures. But what they did was they kept it up, just the intensity, showed they can still go as hard as humanly possible. And I love the theme behind the song with, thoughts and prayers. People kind of always saying, when tragedy happens, oh, we're sending you our thoughts and prayers. And it's just like, well, fuck you. Can you instead of sending us thoughts and prayers, take action. So it was calling out for action. I absolutely love the move by Motionless in White on this one. And it created one hell of a song. I also have The Innocent by Fever 333. I really did like Pray For Me on this one, but as I listened to the song or the album the rest of the year, The Innocent really stuck out to me because it had this harder sense to it. It had a little more of a gritty, raw sense that really worked on this song specifically. And they were talking about a lot of politically charged things, such as police brutality and innocent police shootings, or whatever you want to say about that. That's what they were going after. But again, I'm not going to get super political on this one as well. However, in terms of the song and me being the punk rock fan that I have been ever since I was a kid, yeah, I absolutely like the fact they went with a song like this, perfect punk rock style, and they really had that fast, harder pace to it. Really did like it. I have Legendary by Skillet on here. Now, on Skillet's Victorious album, I liked a couple other songs, personally, a little bit more than Legendary. I liked Rise Up a lot, but that was the first song I heard off of the album, and I just love the way it makes, sound, makes it feel. I like Save Me more, but Legendary has something about it where it's, with a lot of the songs that Skillet put on their Victorious album, they built them to be anthems, empowering anthems, and this Legendary song is the one that really hits the nail on the head, and I gotta say, I absolutely enjoy it. Right away when it came out, I put it on my workout playlist. It hasn't left since. It actually has been the inspiration behind my own Skillet workout playlist, and I think it definitely deserves a spot on this. And even if you take a look at pop culture, it's starting to pop into some places. You're seeing it at football games. I'm hearing it at football games. WWE Monday Night Raw has finally put this one in as their intro song. So, yeah, Skillet is definitely even in they're like, was it their like 10th album now, still on the rise, definitely coming out. I mentioned Black Veil Brides on my worst song of the year list. They also have a song, and the best song of the year list was Saints of the Blood. I talked about it last week on the podcast, where I was talking about Saints of the Blood, and I thought, okay, with Saints of the Blood, what did I like about it? And the thing I liked about it most was they took that hard rock, heavy metalcore sound that they can make, and they mixed it with that pop rock glam metal sound from the 80s that Saints of the Blood sound like Knives and Pens, much more mature, had a harder sense to it, and Andy Biersack's vocal range was much more pronounced and really did work well overall on this very specific song. I mean, I listened to this a couple of times where I thought, you gotta be kidding me. Black Veil Brides came out with a song like this? This is awesome. I love this. So absolutely floored by it once again. That's the first 5. The second 5 nominees I have on here. Let's keep going. I've got Killswitch Engage's The Signal Fire. Now, what I absolutely about The Signal Fire, I mean, I listened to this first off the bat right away. I didn't even take a look to see that Howard Jones was featured on this one. That's a story for a little bit later. But when I didn't even know that was Howard Jones, just the sheer intensity that was going on in this song. They really brought the heat. But the biggest thing the song has going for it is how well constructed the mixture and vocals between Jesse Leach and former Killswitch frontman and now the frontman for Light the Torch, Howard Jones, is on this specific song. Oh my god. I looked at some of the songs for the Grammys that came out. It's like, oh yeah, Killswitch Engage is on there for Unleashed. I thought, no. I like the fact that Killswitch Engage is on there for Best Metal record or track or whatever. But not Unleashed. You gotta put The Signal Fire on there. Signal Fire is unrelentingly hard, and it is absolutely beautiful. Love it 100% of the way. Let's see what else we got in here. Saint Asonia comes and makes an appearance with Sirens. Now, Sirens, this is a very interesting song because it featured Sharon Dalal of Within Temptation. And I love what they did with the construction on this one. Again, I really like the Hunted off of the album as well. And I liked Beast as well. But my God, when you take a look at Sirens, I love what Adam Gonti was able to do with that song, where he mixed the Within Temptation sound with the overall sound that he has produced with his time in 3 Days Grace and his time in Saint Asonia. And, I mean, we know it's his writing style, but the mixture they used between the two and how Sharon's vocals as a feature really just gave this track so much more of a dynamic feel to it and so much more of a lively feel to it. I thought you couldn't beat this on the album, so this definitely is taking a spot on my top 10. 3 more to go. I've got In the Deep by Alter Bridge. This comes off the Walk the Sky album. I thought this was the best song off the album, even better than Godspeed. That was their best single. I called this their second best song behind Metalingus. And I stand by it because it is layered incredibly well. I was a little hesitant at first when I first heard it, but all of a sudden I heard Miles Kennedy in the bridge, and he hits that final note right before the chorus, and it just hits you hard in the heart. So I thought, I mean, if this is going to be one of my favorite songs of the year, yeah, it's definitely going to be in the top 10 for sure. I've got 2 more, and I've got Your Numbers Up by Ice Nine Kills. Now, this is off of the extended or the final cut of the Silver Scream album, which came out in 2018. But this song specifically came out in 2019, so I thought I can definitely put it on this list if I like it. I listened to it, and it keeps up with that Ice Nine Kills feel off the Silver Scream, where they're going to take all of those songs when they really were working with different horror movies, but they're going to make them sound like they were a part of those horror movies. Like, the sound of the music with all the metalcore was gonna just relate. And this one is all based upon Scream by Wes Craven's Scream, the 1996 slasher movie with Ghostface. And I mean, when it starts out with that phone ringing, and they just go through the first scene, basically, with Drew Barrymore being killed, they go through the first scene of all of it, and it's unrelentingly hard. Spencer Charnas' vocals are so well done on this one. I love the mix they do with the whole entire thing, even though it's probably the shortest song I have on here. This was definitely the one that blew me away. I'm like, holy shit. So that's why it's on the list. And the last one on the list for the nominees, this is nominee number 10, came out right before Thanksgiving. Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse. Now, Fallen first came out with Drugs early in the year, and I really like Drugs, especially the Corey Taylor feature, how they mix it with some of the, rap rock style. But what they did on this one, where Ronnie Radke had a little bit more of that rap rock style, but when he got to the second part of each verse and just actually went a lot harder, more unclean with the rap, with the style of vocals, and just this overall construction of it, the mix between rap rock and metalcore. You watch the video and it just gets you fired up. I listen to it before I go play soccer or something, or I'm at the gym, and it just gets me amped up. I absolutely love what they did with this one. And I know a lot of people are going to look at this, and I've already seen it, calling me out for picking Black Veil Brides or picking Falling in Reverse because they don't like Andy Biersack or they don't like Ronnie Radke. Again, I'm listening to the music, and if I really like the song, it's going to be on the list. I've seen a lot other people too really praising this song as well. Popular Monster saying, I absolutely love the fact you put it on there. I've seen a good amount of Ice Nine Kills people as well. So I'm really happy with the nominees. I love seeing what other people are putting because I got a lot of people saying, oh, what about Slipknot? What about Slipknot? Of course, I'm curious to see what about something about Fear Inoculum, such as Tempest. Yeah, I want to see what you guys have to say, so very interested in that. Now. Let's go to the worst albums of the year list. Now, these are the worst of the worst, cream of the crop, and the ones I really didn't like at all. Again, these are the ones that just did not hit me well, or just I thought were just flat out, what were you guys thinking? I mean, these are my opinions as well. Again, I'll always try and find the silver lining in these albums, but we'll see what happens. First nominee I have on here is, you guys are going to be not surprised if you've paid attention to anything with me over the course of this year. My first nominee of the year is Bring Me the Horizon's Amo. Now, I made a whole video about it, why they made the move to that more pop-centric sound, because they want to help bring people that are very into pop and not in rock, and they want to ease them into it by starting them out with Amo and then going to That's the Spirit, and then going to their earlier works where it just gets harder and harder and harder. I totally understand that. I just didn't like the album at all. I did like, what was the song? Mantra. I actually really did like Mantra, but there's a bunch of other songs that I thought, what the heck was Ollie Sykes really thinking on this one? Not a fan of it at all. However, I do see the silver lining in it. I do have to give a shout out to their song, Ludens, though, when they mix more of that harder sound with electronica, and I thought, you know what? They still got that harder sound in them, so I'm happy to hear that. Number 2, I have, for my nominees, Neo Theater by AJR. Now, this is more like that alternative style. I still think I can put it on here because of it. Again, I know a lot of other people that are going to be like, oh, well, what about... I had someone say, well, what about when pop music exists? I'm like, if I focused on every single kind of music, my best album, my best song, my most surprising album would not change. But everything else would just be pop-centric. I'm like, but we're focusing on rock and metal here, so that's what I really want to focus on. And that's why I can still go with AJR on this one, because they're more of that alternative style. However, I still remember when I was at home at my parents' house, and we had a couple of our little neighbors. They're like, oh, you gotta check out this song, because they want to see what my reaction was to it. And they played the birthday song or something. I just literally looked and I said, what in the hell is this? Why are you guys making this? This is horrible. And I listened to the whole, I'm like, why does anyone even want to listen to this? Again, this is my opinion for someone who grew up listening to that glam metal and glam rock of the 80s and then got into the hard rock, punk rock, a little bit more metal, new metal, some metal, not, super heavy metal, because that's just still not my... But now metalcore as well, post-hardcore. I mean, getting into all that stuff, it's just, I look at them like, oh, why would I even listen to this ever again? I have Who Do You Trust on here as well, and I already mentioned why, because they went a lot more with pop, a lot more pop features on there, a lot more, electronic little pieces in there, which I thought just was not the way to go. I've got 9 by Blink-182 on there, and the reason for this one is just because they played this one incredibly safe, to where I just thought the album overall just didn't have any kind of discerning quality to it, and it just didn't really hit well at all, in my opinion. So that's why it's on there. And last, I have We Are Not Your Kind by Slipknot. I know I get a lot of flack from Slipknot fans already about this one, but I really don't care. Every time someone says, oh, you're trash for trashing Slipknot, I say, why? Why do you think that We Are Not Your Kind is good? And I'm not going to bash them. No. I'm not going to bash them for their opinions, because again, music hits us all differently, and these are my opinions on what it is, and that's why there's a fan vote too, because I want to see what you guys think. So when people are like, oh, no, 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 you have to put We Are Not Your Kind in the best, I'm like, well, defend your case. And if they just say because it's the best, I'm just like, you're not defending your case. But every single time so far when I've said why, and people have answered why, they have said why they actually really like the album, why they think it should be on the best. And I thought, you know what? I don't agree with that overall opinion that it should be on the best. However, I do respect the fact that you think it should be on the best. That's your opinion. And I'm glad to hear it because, honestly, music hits everyone differently. That worst album of the year, that'll come out on Sunday the 29th. And the last one we'll have is on Monday, December 30th, right before the end of the year. That'll be our best album of the year award. I've got 10 on this one, folks. I got 10. So shall we start? Let's start. First nominee I have on here, Disguised by Motionless in White. When Motionless in White came out with this one, again, I was a little hesitant just because I got into them at the beginning of the year. And I absolutely love Graveyard Shift. Graveyard Shift's my favorite album by them. That's not going to be anything different. So I absolutely love Graveyard Shift. And I listened to the rest of it. Not the biggest fan of a lot of stuff that's on Reincarnate. But when it comes to Infamous and Creatures, yeah, I can see there's a lot of hard stuff on there. And it sounds really, really good. And just like, yeah, you know what? Let's keep it up. So, oh man, I'm starting to get tired. So overall, I did like it. Like I said, Thoughts and Prayers on my best song of the year list. I like Disguise. I really like Code now. Another Life is another good song. And I'm becoming more partial to Brand New Numb. When I saw them live for the second time in October, when I got the Cut Above My Eye and they played a lot off of Disguise, they really were into it and I absolutely loved it. Strength in Numbers by Fever 333 is also on here as well. This is coming from my pop rock love. And they just kind of have that sound where this sounds like, the Reincarnate of Rage Against the Machine. I have had some people say, oh, I don't like it because they basically sound like a copy of Rage Against the Machine. I don't think they sound like an exact copy. However, I can see where that people would say that. I love the fact that they are unrelentingly hard with their politics and political stance because it does make for great music when I don't necessarily agree with them all the time. It's politics. I'm not going to agree with everybody. But I do have to say, I love the music that raw energy that they have for it brings out. I got another nominee on my most surprising one, The Dead Days by Get Scared. And the reason this one's on here is because of the different styles of music they were able to combine all within one sense. Victorious by Skillet is also on the list. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk, saying Victorious by Skillet wasn't as good as some of their other stuff. I think it was John from ARTV. He really didn't care for it at all, saying that there was some there's some good qualities of it, like Save Me, but as he felt like it was just getting more watered down. However, when I listened to it, I really did like the album as well because Skillet's music is always very positive. When you take a look at songs like Feel Invincible off of their off of Unleashed, Not Gonna Die off of Rise. God, I love that song. Monster, Awake and Alive, and Here off of Awake, and Comatose, Rebirthing, Whisper in the Dark. They've got a lot of songs like that are just very upbeat. But when it came to Victorious, they focused on a lot more songs that were hopeful. So it was going to be as nice, but they were much more hopeful with Legendary, kind of, building yourself up. You Ain't Ready was kind of more of that, high energy one. I loved Rise Up as a high energy one. Save Me had more of that hopeful energy to it. I did like it, and Victorious as like a song that was kind of like, getting past depression, kind of as an inspiration from what happened with Chester Bennington. And just seeing Chester Bennington's influence still on music today is absolutely fantastic. Again, like with Disguise and Code. But Victorious, I think it was when I reviewed it, I think it was the highest rated album I gave this year. And again, I'm not mad about it. I thought it was a good album. I really did like it. It's the one album so far from 2019 that I have on vinyl. It's mostly because I usually ask for my birthday and Christmas for vinyl albums, and hopefully this year I'm getting a couple of these I have on here, plus the Silver Scream, because the Silver Scream is awesome. If you watch my last YouTube video where I went through the retrospective on the Silver Scream, where it would appear my top 20 or my top 10, my top albums of 2018, I would have put it at number 2, I think. Still behind Disease by Beartooth, which I do have that album on vinyl, so that's awesome. I've got Trauma by I Prevail as well. Trauma by I Prevail has been one of the albums that has received a lot of Grammy buzz, but the reason I liked it was because they explored many different features about it, and it wasn't something where I was like completely like shocked or blown away at everything. I did like the song Hurricane. It was going to be my top 10. It was the last one I think that got removed once Saints of the Blood came out, because they went through so many different kind of styles. But overall, I Prevail's Trauma, rather good album that deserves a spot in here. As I Lay Dying's Shaped by Fire and Sleeping with Sirens, How It Feels to Be Lost are both on here as well. Won't go too much into those because we already described those for the most surprising, and the fact that Sleeping with Sirens went back to their old sound, and As I Lay Dying came back and still have that old sound, and it's very good. They both deserve spots on here. I got 3 more for Best Album of the Year. 1 more for these, Walk the Sky by Alter Bridge. This album has so much depth to it, and each song has so many layers to it. When you get a writing force such as Mark Tremonti or Miles Kennedy behind it, and then you get both, you can get some really great stuff, and that's why Alter Bridge is one of the biggest rock bands out there. And it's absolutely amazing what they did with Walk the Sky. Plus, you check out that album artwork, jeez, is that good. I mean, I may have to do something where it's like, which album artwork is better, this one or my next one, Flaw Designed by Saint Desonia. With Adam Gontier coming back with this one, oh my God, was that well worth the wait? I mean, even though it was 4 years, was rather personal on this one, much like Kellen Quinn was on How It Feels to Be Lost, which is also why How It Feels to Be Lost deserves to be a spot on this list, and with As I Lay Dying, because all 3 of those albums, Flaw Design, Shaped by Fire, and How It Feels to Be Lost, the main songwriter behind each, Kellen Quinn, Adam Gontier and Tim Lambesis, went incredibly personal and let everything out for the fans to listen to and see and hear. And I thought it was the proper move because you've gone through a lot. If you share it, you're going to end up inspiring a lot of other people to get through stuff that they're going through, and it really did work here. Plus, one thing we've easily seen is if you take a look at 3 Days Grace between the time when they had Adam and when they hadn't had Adam, and now with Saint Desonia, you can see those first 4 albums, those first 4 great albums from 3 Days Grace, were very much influenced and written by Adam Gontier and had his stamp written all over it with his style. And I gotta tell you, love the fact that we got that album. The last nominee I have on here is one that had more of a rock sense to it, and it was a little surprising as well because I was not expecting it to be that good, but I thought it was worth it. Sudden Sky by Crown the Empire, they're on here as well, and I got to give them a huge shout out for this one because I really did like that album. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see them live this year due to a concert cancellation because they were touring with Falling in Reverse. Falling in Reverse's guitarist wife gets put in the ICU with cancer. I still have no idea how that turned out, but yeah, I hope it turned out good. But then again, if they come back, will I see them again? Yeah. So that is our nominees. Best album will come out on the 30th. Again, one last thing before I wrap up with the new album or the Album of the Year awards and Song of the Year awards, the End of the Year awards, is look for them on Facebook or look for them on Instagram and Twitter. And if you like what I've had there, yeah, you can comment your top 5, your top 10, whatever it is. They don't have to be the ones I listed. I mean, like if you think Fear Inoculum was one of the best albums of the year, yeah, put it in the comments. And we'll tally up everyone's comments. We'll put them all I'll put them in a spreadsheet. We'll tally the votes, see who gets what, and we'll take it from there. Otherwise, yeah, I just want to hear from you guys on it, so take a look at those. Again, quick recap. All these videos will be coming out on YouTube. Most surprising album video, Christmas Day. Most disappointing album, December 26th. Worst song, December 27th. Best song, December 28th. Worst album, December 29th. And best album, December 30th. So I'll put the notification that they're out there on YouTube. Then a half hour later, I will reveal the winner on there because you guys are going to want to know who the winner is. If you guys aren't able to check out who or watch the video at that point. But then you can also see where, and I'll also put the list in there as well, so you guys know, but not in the notice. You'll get that a half hour later because I got special posts for all those. Alrighty, enough with the year-end awards because you know what? I was like trying to find stuff to talk about with this podcast. I'm like, well, what the heck would I talk about? Because when it came to music, I didn't think all that much happened, but I thought, you know what? Let's just talk about that because I want to just see what you guys think, and then you guys can get a thought process. You guys can understand where my mind was and why I picked these. And it just kind of puts it all together in one place. Don't worry, in the YouTube videos, it's going to explain everything about it as well. So why I picked each one. So you're going to get that as well. And my computer froze while watching the Viking game. But, oh well, one other thing that I had talked about this year was bands coming back and reuniting. And we've had big bands talk about how they've come back and reunited, and especially we've seen that towards the end of the year. We've seen that happen with Motley Crue. Oh. Trying to get it back going. But we saw that with Motley Crue as well. They blew up their cessation of tour agreement. And everything seemed to be, pretty good. So we'll see how this all turns out. But hopefully it turns out good. Hopefully I get to go see them. The other biggest return we've seen or heard of is Rage Against the Machine, but none is bigger than My Chemical Romance. That's one that got everybody jacked up, everybody psyched. And I hope they do come back by us in Milwaukee. Or if I can go to Chicago too, because I really want to see them live. But we got another band that was not together that's coming back and reuniting. It's another 80s band, folks. Actually, 70s band. But, this band, it was very prominent in the 70s and the 80s, specifically the 80s. And that is the boys from Scotland and AC/DC. Wait, Scotland? Wait, yeah, Scotland, because I think they're Scottish. If I got that wrong, I'm really bad. So, as I'm looking at the article that was posted by Loudwire, this is not a Slipknot article, it's an AC/DC article. It said, 2 musicians have just confirmed that AC/DC has reunited with Brian Johnson, and that a brand new AC/DC album is on the way. So we know they parted ways no longer with Malcolm Young there because of Malcolm Young's passing, and Brian Johnson was forced into retirement because his hearing was about to just go because of loud music for 35 years. Yeah, it's gonna end up getting you. But Behemoth frontman Nergal recently told Loudwire during an exclusive interview, "I know there's a new AC/DC album in the making with Malcolm Young." Oh, so it looks like Malcolm is on that at least. So maybe he had something interesting there. Yeah, so it looks like Malcolm Young will have some parts on there, post-mortem, which is absolutely awesome. He says, "It's coming. It's going to be an outtake from Rock or Bust. What do I expect? I expect any more, nothing less. Just give me fucking rhythm and Angus and Malcolm's guitar. Don't give me anything extra. Brian Johnson is back in the band." So, and the other one that confirmed this was Twisted Sister's Dee Snider, adding that Phil Rudd is also back, responding to a fan asking if one of the classic ACD members was sick. Snider responded, "He died. Rest in peace, Malcolm Young." But all 4 surviving members have reunited with tracks recorded by Malcolm while he was still alive. Malcolm's nephew Stevie Young will be replacing him. He's done this in a couple of times before. It's close to get to the original band. So this isn't the first time we've seen a rock star pass on and the band continue on with someone that's next to kin come in and help. This isn't the first time. I've seen this happen with Van Halen, where this wasn't something where next to kin happened, where it was they brought in Wolfgang. His name's Wolfgang, right? Yeah, Wolfgang Van Halen. I think it's Alex's son or Eddie's son, one of the two. But they brought him in to play bass, and so now it's basically Van Halen you've got 3 Van Halen family members, which is pretty awesome. But they don't play. I don't think they play that much anymore because they played a little bit with Sammy Hagar and then they came back with Taylor Roth. But I don't think they played since 2016. But then again, I know someone's probably gonna be like, "Oh my God, Kevin, you're totally wrong. They've played since then." So we'll see what happens. And then the other one we saw that happen with was Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, because the big man Clarence Clemens on the sax, when he passed away, they were gonna try and find a new sax player, and I know they found someone in his family. I believe it was his nephew that is now playing sax in the E Street Band, which it fits perfectly because with how much of a presence Clarence was on the sax, especially being in person, it was the command that he brought to being on stage that really worked out. And the fact that you've got someone who you brought in who is related to Clarence Clemens and can do the exact same thing and has an exact same style, my God, does that work out incredibly well as well. But will the AC/DC, start touring again? Who knows? I saw them in 2009, I want to say, at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. No more Bradley Center now. It's the Pfizer Forum because they just built the new Bucks Arena that opened up last year. But yeah, I got to see that at the Bradley Center. So I got to see AC/DC live. I got to see Large Inflatable Rosie straddling a train. I got to see Brian Johnson start Hell's Bells by literally swinging on the bell as it was ascending. I mean, it was freaking awesome. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they come back. I mean, if they're talking about Stevie Young coming back in Truth Band, yeah, they're going to end up going on tour at some point. And people are just going to eat that up because it's AC/DC. Who doesn't like AC/DC? Well, that's going to be it for me this week, everybody, because, well, we went through a lot with the year-end awards. We talked about bands that are reuniting once again. And honestly, I'm just excited about this because I'm more excited about the year-end awards than anything else and with bands reuniting. And right now, just because the reason is I want to see what you guys have to say. I want to see what you guys think. And we can have lots of fun talking about it because everyone's got different opinions. Everyone thinks differently. And it's something where I just can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And I know some of you guys are going to rip me a new one, but you know what? I really don't care because, well, it's everyone's opinion. And you're just getting my opinion. So, ha 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 ha. Alrighty, that's it for me. Catch us back in the Chord Progression Podcast next week, Tuesday, because episodes release every single Tuesday here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. And for watching the video on YouTube, you're going to get a special little ha. Well, I did it, so yeah. Alrighty, guys, you know this is coming from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Sunday Rock Tales and Day. You guys know how we end each and every one of these videos, or podcasts, or whatever, with a big old see ya!